Ukraine is right now in the middle of a large-scale war across the country. This is the largest war the European continent has seen since World War II. The Russia-Ukraine conflict has reached a critical phase, and many feel the situation has now escalated to a very high level.
Russia has carried out overnight strikes on Ukraine's capital region.
The constant fear is taking a toll.
Before reaching Ukraine, everyone kept telling me the same thing. Why are you even going there? The situation there is very dangerous. But somehow, after crossing the border from Moldova, I entered Ukraine, and the moment I reached the city of Odessa, people started saying, okay, you've made it to Odessa, but don't go to Kyiv, which is the capital city. It's absolutely not safe. And guess what I did? I did the exact opposite of that. From Odessa, my friend Navankar and I took a train, and early this morning we arrived here in the city of Kyiv. Right now, the place I'm walking towards is Kyiv city's central train station. And yes, I want to visit every country in the world, and Ukraine is around my 124th country. And the main reason for coming here was, after traveling to so many countries, a lot of them start to feel kind of similar, but when you visit a country at its lowest point, the experience is completely different. Even the locals are happy and surprised that someone chose to travel here at a time like this. And right now, we're heading out to explore the city of Kyiv during the war. It's a very historic city too, around 1500 years old. I know you might be thinking, did I really not find any other time to visit Kyiv? But honestly, I'm just curious to see what the situation of this city is like right now during these times. What we've been hearing is that attacks keep happening throughout the day here, and the moment any missile or drone shows up on their radar, sirens start going off across the entire city. And then people are supposed to rush into shelters and hide to stay safe. Generally, they detect these threats and destroy them mid-air. But in many cases, when a drone or missile attack happens, it can still land inside the country or the city and then explode after hitting the ground. Right outside the railway station, that hotel you see in front is where we were staying. You'll find pretty much every fast food chain operating here. There's McDonald's right there, and across the road you'll see places like KFC. We even went there. All the buildings you see outside the main central station look completely new. Everything feels very clean and well maintained. Compared to other war zones I've visited, this feels very different. In Syria, Somalia, many areas of Lebanon, and even South Sudan, you usually don't see scenes like this. You don't come across such modern buildings, and things are rarely operational. Most of the time it's rubble everywhere, complete chaos and destruction. But here you don't really see anything like that. Right now we're heading towards the main central train station. One thing you'll notice is how empty the station feels. I mean, Ukraine itself is such a massive country. It is actually the largest country entirely within Europe. Yes, France is quite big and Russia is huge, but Russia is mostly in Asia, and a lot of France's territory lies outside Europe. So Ukraine is actually the largest country entirely within Europe. And look, even outside the railway station you can see signs for shelters, with underground shelters built here too. It's hard to believe that in such a large country, in a historic capital like Kyiv, the main train station is completely empty. Look around, there's barely anyone outside. It feels deserted. From here, me and my friend Navankar, who is also a YouTuber known as Yatri Doctor, will take the metro and make our way towards the city center. The good thing is that most of the infrastructure here still looks intact. You don't really see much visible destruction. Yes, the country's economy has taken a serious hit. A lot of things have been damaged, its territory has reduced, and the population has been displaced in many ways. But this is my first time in Ukraine, though Navankar has been here before. Hey, when was the last time you visited here?
Around 6 years ago.
6 years ago? He's been here before, unlike me, so everything feels new to my eyes, while he can compare how things were earlier and how they are now. So this train station looked exactly the same even 6 years ago?
Yeah.
So it was just like this, fully intact?
Yeah.
Well, whatever we get to see here, we'll make sure to show you everything. This is their metro station. Look up there, you can also see Kyiv written in Ukrainian. Earlier, we walked into the train station by mistake. The metro station is actually right next to it, over there. You got scared?
Yeah, man.
You thought it was some soldier?
Yeah.
So we have to get 2 tickets.
But I think we can also tap the card to enter, I guess.
So do we have 2 cards?
Yeah, the Visa ones.
Oh yes, we sure can tap the Visa card here. You just tap your card and it works directly. Done. Let's go. Just look at this, how deep their metro station goes. It's insanely deep. In fact, if you explore metro systems in countries that were once part of the Soviet Union, you'll notice the same thing everywhere. In Russia, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, and Kazakhstan, most metro stations are built extremely deep underground. One big reason was the Cold War, when these stations were designed to double up as nuclear shelters. There were other reasons too. The Soviet Union liked to show dominance and scale, so they built these massive staircases and deep stations as a statement. In many cities, underground planning was also difficult because water was very close beneath the roads. So building deeper made city planning more practical and manageable. That's another reason these metro stations go so far underground. Even today, everything feels just like it did back then. Walking through these stations feels more like stepping into history than just taking the metro. The Soviet Union may no longer exist, but the trains, the stations, and the overall atmosphere haven't really changed. In many places, it genuinely feels like you are still standing in the Soviet era, almost like time just stopped here. What really stands out here is how unique these stations are. You see these huge gate-like structures built into the walls, and between them are these massive passages that almost feel grand in scale.
Хрещатик. Перехід на станцію Майдан Незалежності. Будь ласка, не залишайтеся.
We've now reached near their central metro station. And now, once again, it's time to climb these endlessly long staircases that feel like they go on for kilometers. We have finally arrived right in the heart of Kyiv, standing just outside the metro station in the city center. Based on everything I've seen so far in Ukraine, the good thing is that the infrastructure, the buildings, and even people's homes don't really look destroyed or torn apart. We haven't come across those kinds of war-torn scenes yet, which honestly is a very positive sign. However, in the other war zones I've visited before, the situation was usually much more extreme. But here, most of the attacks that have happened seem to be mainly targeting government buildings. Places with government offices, military airports or seaports are where most of the attacks have been happening. But when it comes to regular buildings and infrastructure, things look more or less the same as before. If you come into the city, in fact, I've already arrived in Kyiv, and it's been 2 days since I entered Ukraine. So far, I haven't seen anything on the streets that makes you feel like the country is completely destroyed, which actually is a good thing. I'll say that again. Like you can probably imagine, on normal days the city center would be much more crowded. The train stations would be packed, cafes would be busy, and you'd see a lot more people around. Right now, there are fewer people, but even so, the buildings still look intact, at least here in the city center where we are at the moment. It's a very different vibe from what you'd expect in a capital city like this. Now, just because the buildings look fine doesn't mean the country's situation is perfect or back to how it used to be. Because of war, no matter the place or the country, there's always heavy damage. And Ukraine has gone through the same thing. Their currency has weakened a lot, the economy has been badly shaken, and many people have been internally displaced. More affected cities like Kharkiv are close to the Russian border, so people from there and even from Kyiv are moving away. Mostly to safer parts within Ukraine itself, like Lviv or other cities closer to Poland and nearby European countries, where the situation feels relatively safer. A lot of people have already left the country. Before the war, around 2020, Ukraine's population was over 40 million. But after the war, I think the population has dropped to around 35 million, maybe not even that much. A huge number of people have left Ukraine altogether. Right here in the city center, you can see countless flags placed all around. From what I understand, these flags have been put up in memory of the people, mostly soldiers, who lost their lives during this war. If you look closely, there are so many flags, and along with them, you'll also notice photographs displayed here. These images represent the soldiers who fell while serving their country, and seeing this many together really shows the scale of what's been lost. You'll see a lot of flags here, but at the same time, people are still trying to follow their daily routines. Many offices are open, and several companies are still operating. Of course, a lot of businesses have shut down too, and many people have left the country. Big business owners and even mid-level ones have moved their operations outside Ukraine to other parts of Europe. But even then, quite a few businesses are still running. People are going to work, students are attending universities and colleges, or simply spending time around the city center, which is probably what most people are doing right now. Still, I'm sure the crowds used to be much bigger than this. Life hasn't stopped here, it's just slowed down. The city feels quieter, but you can still sense people trying to keep things moving. However, I don't really have anything to compare this with. Since I've never been to Ukraine before, this is my first time here, in Kyiv and in the country overall. Now, Ankur, you were in this same area, this part of the city, right?
Yeah, I was.
Do you think there were more people here 6 years ago compared to now?
There were definitely more people back then, especially tourists.
Yeah, because tourism had pretty much come to a halt.
Even though I came in winter.
In winter, fewer people come anyway. Okay, tell me this, from when exactly did Ukraine start issuing tourist visas?
6 months before.
So basically, tourist visas were restarted only in 2025. From 2022 till 2025 after the war began, Ukraine wasn't issuing tourist visas at all. Now they are open again, but honestly, hardly anyone comes.
Well, yesterday in Odessa, there were maybe 1 or 2 people.
Maybe, but you're the one who saw them, because from my side, I didn't see any.
They had a tour guide.
Oh, a tour guide? There was a tour office back there, but it was completely empty. I'm sure the people you see walking around are all locals.
Aren't you gonna buy fridge magnets?
Fridge magnet,
You buy them if you want. I've already bought mine.
souvenirs.
One more thing I noticed in other cities too, like in Odessa, you mostly see women on the streets. Here as well, you do see men, but far fewer. That's because right now, military service is mandatory for men. Ukraine didn't have a very large standing army, so if you're under 25, especially if you're a university student, that's generally okay. But if you're over 25 and you fit the criteria, meaning you're physically able, then you're required to serve in the military. Because of that, most men have been drafted. On the streets, you mainly see women, students, older women, and mothers with their children. Their husbands are likely serving in the army. The men you do notice outside are usually much younger, mostly under 25. That's why the streets feel very different right now. In general, if you look at the demographics of former Soviet countries, you'll usually notice that women tend to outnumber men in most places, even in normal times. So even by sex ratio, women outnumber men in most of these countries. And now, because of the war, men aren't even allowed to leave the country. If you're over 25, you can't leave Ukraine and you're required to join the military. Women, however, are allowed to leave the country if they choose to. And a large number of women have already moved to other parts of Europe, to Poland, Czech Republic, Germany, and other European countries till now. But even after so many women have left, you still see more women walking around the city than men. And that's despite the fact that a large number of women have already moved out. So Just imagine how many women there actually are in this country. As for the men, unfortunately, you don't see them as commonly on the streets. Some of them are already living abroad and haven't returned, some have been drafted into the military, and some are left as they don't meet the age or eligibility criteria yet. Man, you really start wondering what's actually going on in this world. What do you even gain from these wars? Look at these photos here. The people who lost their lives in this war, they were someone's children, someone's brothers, someone's husbands. They gave their lives for their country, but they're no longer here. And it makes you think about what their families must be dealing with after all this. And the same thing must be happening on the other side as well. These ordinary soldiers you see in the photos, there are so many of them. What was their motive? Simply to protect their country. When you actually stand here and look around, the number really hits you. I can't even show all of them in camera. You walk a little further and there's photo after photo, then even more behind those, and it just keeps going. No matter where you turn, you realize how many lives are tied to this war, far more than what any single frame can capture. Every photo represents a life, a family, and a story that ended too soon. And yesterday, we actually met a Ukrainian army soldier, and he told us something really unsettling. Because the fighting is happening from both sides, many soldiers who lose their lives end up lying there in between. In most cases, neither side's government can even go and retrieve them. So much money and resources are already being poured into the war, that going back to recover bodies could risk even more lives. He explained that even trying to bring them back can turn into another deadly situation altogether. Because of that, many bodies are left there, and most of them never even make it back home. Once these soldiers leave their homes and say goodbye to their families, there's a real chance that their loved ones may never even see them again, not even one last time. And I want to be clear, I'm neither a citizen of Ukraine nor Russia, and I don't want to be politically biased about this war. From my perspective, actions like this are simply not right and shouldn't be happening at all. This war really needs to stop soon. From what I can see, nothing good is coming out of what's happening right now, and it's only causing more loss and pain. You'll also see flags from other countries placed here. There's a small path going that way, so let's walk over and take a look. And one more thing about Ukraine's military, it does not only have Ukrainian soldiers. People from other countries are fighting alongside them as well. You can actually see it here through the flags. There are flags from the United States, Norway, Australia, New Zealand, Israel, and Canada. People from these countries have come here and are fighting alongside Ukraine's forces. Honestly, I don't think any sensible, educated person can say that what's happening here is right. From my perspective, situations like this are deeply troubling. When conflicts lead to so much loss and suffering, it raises serious questions about where the world is heading. In today's times, seeing events unfold like this makes you reflect on how much impact such actions have on ordinary people and societies as a whole. It's something that stays with you long after you've walked away from the moment. You'll also notice Ukrainian flags everywhere here. Flags of Ukraine are placed all over the city. I feel like after the war started, the number of flags has only increased. I'm not sure if there were this many before, but now you see Ukrainian flags everywhere, on balconies, outside homes, and across buildings. You even spot them just as often outside the country, all over different parts of Europe. You'll see similar things in many countries, especially former Soviet ones. Usually there is a central monument like this, commonly called an Independence Monument. I haven't checked the exact name here, but I'm assuming this is the same one. And this open area here is likely called Independence Square.
What? She's from India? Woman.
He just pointed it out and said, look, you're from India, and over here there's a photo of an Indian woman as well.
Bomb blast. Ballistic missile, okay.
He's saying that she lost her life due to a ballistic missile.
How much rupee? 1 lakh.
1 crore.
1 crore.
Bahubali.
Bahubali. You look Bahubali.
Bahubali.
Thank you.
Do you have any money with you?
I don't really have anything on me either. Still, I feel like we should give something at least.
Yeah.
Здесь как Индия. Я
School.
school было, ну там хэппи, и мне здесь делали, здесь,
Oh, bindi.
да, это school. Праздник был, хэппи, как Индия,
Yeah.
так красиво.
Sari.
Растали,
Sari.
и здесь
Bindi.
есть.
Bindi.
Ну это история, это school.
School, yeah.
We ran into this woman who asked us to get her some food or give her some money to eat. But we didn't have any cash on us because we hadn't withdrawn Ukraine's currency. We thought it wouldn't really be useful outside Ukraine anyway, and that euros would work. In a couple of places, we were able to pay in euros. But honestly, cards are accepted almost everywhere. We didn't even feel the need for cash at all. Digital payments work pretty much everywhere. The internet here is insanely fast. Wi-Fi is strong, mobile data is fast, and they even have Starlink set up. I'm uploading my 4K videos instantly. The moment I reach the hotel, the Wi-Fi is blazing fast. Basically, card payments and digital payments work everywhere here in Ukraine, even at a tiny shop run by an elderly woman. In the morning before our train, I went to that shop and bought a bottle of water for about 30 hryvnia, roughly around $1. And even there, she had a card machine and was accepting payments by card. So far in Ukraine, we haven't faced a single issue related to payments or internet. Everything works smoothly everywhere. If we compare this to other war-affected countries we've been to, Ukraine's situation feels very different. In Syria, for example, there was a full black market for currency across the country. Digital payments didn't exist at all, everything ran on cash. The currency had collapsed so badly that you'd get different exchange rates everywhere, and the rate would keep changing every few days. So the rate kept changing against the US dollar. Huge bundles of cash came from exchanging just a few dollars. Inflation was on another level, way beyond what you can even imagine. The network barely worked there, Wi-Fi was rare, and even with a SIM card, the internet hardly functioned anywhere. So compared to those countries, the situation here is very different and better. Let me say one thing, a lot of wrong things are happening in the world. There's so much injustice, so many wars going on, and I don't support any war. Wherever people are losing their lives, ordinary civilians, children, women and common men are dying for no reason. That's just wrong. I'm against all wars, completely. And there are even bigger atrocities happening in the world than what we see here. I'm not saying what's happening here is right, I'm against this too. But in other places, even worse things are happening, more people are losing their lives, and there's even more destruction. The only difference is that maybe those people don't have the same skin color as the people here, or they don't follow the same religion. And we all know that Western media and even Western societies in general can be biased. Colonialism may have officially ended, but neo-colonialism still exists even today. Because of that, a lot of media coverage is also influenced by bias. Now we've reached another square here. In the background, you can see a church, and over there are some destroyed vehicles from the war. From what I understand, these are Russian tanks that have been placed here, or are they trucks? Let's walk a bit closer and check them out. You can see the condition they're in. They've brought them here from the war and displayed them right in the middle of the city. There's a tour office here as well, but it's completely empty. No one's inside. Just these two people standing here, not sure if they're buying something to eat or what. I don't see a single guided tour happening or any tourists around at all. And this is supposed to be a main spot. There's such a beautiful church right behind. And over here, they've placed these trucks on display. We've come over here now. Right in front of you, you can see St. Michael's Monastery with its golden dome shining above. Right next to the monastery, you'll notice the word freedom written there. Over on that side, there are a few statues, and here you can see vehicles and trucks destroyed and burned during the war. And behind them, there are tanks as well, now covered with Ukrainian flags. They've placed even more vehicles ahead, and there are more tanks standing over there as well. You'll notice information written in Polish, Ukrainian, English and German, but nothing is written in Russian. Interestingly, most people in Ukraine used to speak Russian among themselves at home, especially in the eastern regions and the southern parts where Russian was very common. However, the official language of the country is Ukrainian. So all laws, courts and formal education have always been in Ukrainian. Even so, in daily life, people largely spoke Russian with each other. Since the war began, many people have started boycotting the Russian language and now prefer speaking Ukrainian instead. The two languages are quite similar and share many similarities, but even if people don't speak Ukrainian perfectly, they still make the effort to avoid using Russian. And if you're visiting here and talking to locals, it's better to translate and communicate in Ukrainian rather than Russian. Using Russian now doesn't go down well at all, especially after the war.
I'm soldier,
Yeah?
Ukrainian army, of which I been Bakhmut. And volunteers, this is signed Friday donation from Road to Shkivka. Help to support the Ukrainian army constantly civilians.
Sorry, but I don't have any cash.
Okay. India money good.
Indian money. I did not bring any. I will ask my friend if he has any.
Okay.
Yes.
So we've been standing at this main square for quite a while now, where they've brought in all these tanks, vehicles and trucks and lined them up. I keep noticing them again and again. Just look at the condition they're in. They've brought them straight from the battlefield and placed them right here in the middle of the city, almost like an open air exhibition. You do need to be careful though, because it's written here that there are sharp edges. You can see the warning clearly written, sharp edges, dangerous. Everything here is rusted. First of all, a lot of it has been completely burned. These are all metal parts and the edges are extremely sharp. The condition of this tank is pretty much the same as well. Not sure if it will open or not. No, it's not opening. Everything has been brought straight from the war and set up here in the open, almost like a public exhibit for people to see up close. You can see damaged vehicles, parts of aircraft, and even missiles placed on display. But look at how many people have actually come to see this. You can judge it for yourself. Ukraine, as I mentioned, is the largest country entirely within Europe, and this is its capital, Kyiv, a 1500-year-old city and the largest city in the country. A city with this much history and scale now feels unusually quiet, especially for a place that would normally be full of life and visitors. Right here in the middle of the city, on the main square, in front of this major cathedral, they've set up this exhibition of tanks and trucks. Now look around. How many people do you actually see coming to view it? Just look at the camera frame. You don't see a single person who's clearly here to see the exhibition. Locals are passing by, yes, but you can easily tell there are no tourists at all. No one is really visiting the country in this atmosphere right now, only locals moving through their day. People from outside aren't really coming here, and the locals you see passing through are just going about their daily routines, commuting to work and back. For them, this has become something normal. Maybe people visiting from other Ukrainian cities might come here once to see this place. But for the locals, this war, the destruction, the loss of lives and resources has almost become a part of everyday life now. It's almost unsettling how something so tragic slowly turns into background noise for people just trying to live their lives. For the local people here, all of this has become completely normal. Seeing these trucks and tanks standing around, hearing news every day about what happened today, how many people were lost, another casualty here or there, they've become used to it. On the streets, you'll see people going about their lives, smiling and moving around normally. From the outside, it doesn't really feel like such a massive war is happening here. And this isn't a small conflict, it's the largest war in Europe since World War II, but people have adapted. It's been more than 3 years since the war started, and no one really knows how much longer it will go on. So people have almost gone numb to it. They've become emotionally resistant. And something even more interesting about this place is that all the machinery you see here, the military equipment, the logistics, vehicles, and these tanks, they all belong to the Russian army. Russia is generally considered one of the most well-known countries in the world when it comes to military equipment manufacturing. Seeing it here like this completely changes how you think about power, warfare, and what it actually looks like once it reaches the ground. And yet, today, you rarely get to see their equipment displayed this openly and so up close, right in the middle of a city like this. Whether it was burned deliberately or destroyed during the fighting, they've placed it straight in the middle of the city. You can notice a few more tanks here. Take a look at the tires on this one. You can clearly see the difference in how they're meant to move on different surfaces. This one is shut and not opening at all. It's probably locked or jammed, and because of all the rust, it doesn't seem to open anymore. There's no one here, not a single person around to check this out. It's just us walking around. Wherever they get the chance, they've placed their national flags. Inside, you can see stones thrown in, and in some places, people have burned bits of paper and left them there. And now look, this is the inside of the tank.
Ooh.
If you look down inside, you can see fans, motors, and all kinds of mechanical components packed in there. There's a lot of equipment inside the tank, wires, metal parts, things you can't even properly identify. And the tires, as you can clearly see, have been completely burned and destroyed. One more thing you'll notice is that in most other countries, if you ever see a tank or any kind of military equipment on display, it's usually fenced off or taped around. Visitors are meant to look at it from a distance. But here, they've literally placed it right in the middle of an open square. You can walk right up to it, even climb inside if you want. Not that you should. Someone might throw stones or burn things which might damage you. There's basically no barrier at all. But if you think about it, it's incredibly accessible, right? You can see how heavy this is. It's not moving at all, even though I'm trying hard. I'm not giving it my full strength, but I'm putting in a lot of effort. It's either jammed or maybe locked. It's not gonna move. Obviously, you have no idea what kind of conditions these tanks have been through. Grass has even started growing on this one. Who knows how long it's been standing here? They've even written the names here, showing exactly which tank this one is.
T-90A main battle tank, Russian Federation. It was destroyed near Sumy city. As of June 2022, Russian troops have lost at least.
They've written it here, showing how many of their tanks have been lost. They started counting from June 2022, basically tracking the losses since the war began, and it's all mentioned right there.
Hello.
I'm sorry, 1 second, please.
Yeah. I already got one. Look, I got one.
Sorry, different foundation, different line. Organization Samarianin.
Yeah.
Maybe help a military hospital. Donation, not price donation.
I seriously don't have any.
For a moment, I thought I had finally spotted another tourist here, but then it turned out they were just selling items and weren't tourists at all. This is another truck that's been burned out completely. If you look inside, you can really see the damage. All the seats are burned and broken, the metal has rusted, and even the front seat is totally destroyed. They've added a roof on top now, almost like a sunroof, but the condition of the vehicle clearly shows what it's been through. So after looking at all those tanks and trucks, we came over here nearby to see this cathedral. My friend and I were talking about the war, discussing a bit about what's been happening, and even about the languages spoken here. I thought I'd share some of that with you as well. A lot of you are probably already aware of why this war is happening, what the reasons are, and the major events behind it. That's why I've intentionally not gone into too much detail about all of that in this video, since you already know about it. But just to give a bit of context, Ukraine's official language is Ukrainian. However, Russian is widely spoken here, and Ukraine was once a part of the Soviet Union. If we talk about the people of Ukraine as well, around 78% of the population is ethnically Ukrainian, meaning the majority of people here are native Ukrainians. And around 17 to 18% of the population is ethnically Russian, people who live here within Ukraine. The rest are smaller minorities like people from Moldova, Belarus, and Crimean Tatars, who are an ethnic group from the autonomous region of Crimea. But anyway, now, if we go back to the USSR, you probably already know that the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics was an organization made up of 15 constituent republics, basically 15 countries joined together. This entire union, the USSR, followed a communist system. And the headquarters, or the capital of the USSR, was Moscow in Russia. Back then, the Soviet Union included many countries around Russia, not just Russia itself. Places like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Georgia, Ukraine, and Azerbaijan, all of these were part of the USSR at one point. But in 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed. After that, Ukraine, which had been one of its republics, declared its sovereignty and independence. A nationwide vote was held here across the entire country at that time. And around 92% of people voted in favor of becoming an independent country. They didn't want to remain part of Russia anymore, especially since the USSR had already fallen apart. This also included Crimea, which is an autonomous region of Ukraine. People in Crimea also voted in favor of staying with Ukraine as a separate independent country. That's interesting because Crimea has a majority ethnic Russian population. From what I remember, around 58 to 60% of the people there are ethnically Russian. And after the collapse of the USSR, this vote took place and Ukraine became a separate independent country. Crimea later became an autonomous region within Ukraine. Although Crimea is not under Ukraine's control right now, that's a different story altogether. But ever since the USSR collapsed in 1991, Ukraine has remained influenced by both Russia and Europe at the same time. If you look at its location, Ukraine is surrounded by several countries that are part of the European Union. On the other side is Russia, which is massive, not part of the EU, with a large portion in Asia. and remains a major global power. So Ukraine has always been kind of stuck in between. Most of the time it remained dependent in some ways on Russia and in some ways on Europe. And about 3 years after the collapse of the USSR in 1994, Ukraine became a partner of NATO through its Partnership for Peace program. NATO stands for the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It's basically an organization made up of multiple countries. The idea is that if one member country is attacked, it's treated as an attack on all of them, and all member nations respond together against the enemy, even if only one country was directly targeted. Whether that support is political or military, the basic idea is that all NATO members stand together. If any one member country is attacked, the rest come together to respond. And as I mentioned, in 1994, Ukraine became a partner of NATO. Remember, not a member, but a partner. But it did move one step closer toward eventual membership. And obviously Russia didn't like this. As a long-time superpower shaped by the Cold War against the United States, Russia tends to view countries aligned with the US or NATO as adversaries rather than allies. After that, there weren't any major events for quite some time. But around 2013, the European Union presented an agreement to Ukraine that the president at the time was almost about to sign. It was a political and economic agreement with the European Union meant to strengthen Ukraine's association with Europe and support its path toward closer integration and eventual EU membership. And the people of Ukraine wanted exactly that. They wanted to join the European Union, become part of Europe, and move away from Russia. But just when the agreement was on the verge of being signed, the president at the time, Viktor Yanukovych, who was known to be pro-Russia, pulled back at the last moment and decided not to sign it, despite strong public support for the deal. In response to this, people across Ukraine came out onto the streets in protest. They gathered here at Independence Square and continued protesting for days. But the same pro-Russia government responded with force, and during these protests, more than 100 people lost their lives while demonstrating. This only fueled the protests further, and the pro-Russia president at the time, Viktor Yanukovych, eventually fled the country. After this situation, Russia reacted strongly and moved into Crimea, which is a peninsula of Ukraine. Even though Crimea had a Russian majority population, it was still an autonomous region of Ukraine. In response to these events, Russia took control of Crimea. However, after that, there were no major large-scale attacks again until 2022. But for years, Ukraine had been trying to move closer to NATO and become part of the European Union, while slowly distancing itself from Russia and aligning more with Europe politically and economically. This shift was something Russia had strongly opposed from the beginning, seeing it as a threat to its influence in the region. And then, in 2022, Russia finally took military action.
Breaking news right now, Russia has attacked Ukraine, marking the start of a new war in Eastern Europe.
The Ukrainians also pushed back strongly. Maybe their neighboring country didn't expect the war to last this long or thought Ukraine wouldn't be able to hold on. But Ukraine received support from many countries, especially from Europe and other parts of the world, and they've continued to stand their ground and fight back. I don't think anyone really expected this war to drag on for so long. And Russia has long wanted former Soviet states to come back together, almost like rebuilding the USSR to regain strength. But those countries prefer their sovereignty, closer ties with Europe, and to remain independent. And like I mentioned earlier, during the time of the Soviet Union, Russian was taught and spoken across all the member countries. It was taught in schools and colleges and the main language used officially. So then, all these countries in Central Asia and this part of Eastern Europe that were once part of the USSR do have their own languages. But Russian is still spoken more widely. At home, people mostly spoke Russian anyway, and a lot of subjects and education were also in Russian. But more recently, there's been a clear decision to stop using the Russian language. Now, whether it's daily conversation or education, people prefer speaking their own language, Ukrainian. So if you ever visit, like I mentioned before, try to translate and communicate in Ukrainian itself. Right now, it's getting pretty cold, so we're looking for a nearby cafe where we can sit down, have some coffee, and warm ourselves up a bit. It's autumn right now, the fall season. You can see leaves scattered everywhere. The city actually looks quite beautiful like this. We've spotted a cafe over here, so let's head inside. We got ourselves 2 coffees and picked up a croissant as well. Sitting here at Moose Cafe now. So how's your coffee?
It's okay.
They're all pretty much the same, right? Everything tastes similar, it's just the name that changes. You can order anything. Navankar got a cafe latte. I went for a double cappuccino. Still feeling hungry though, so after this, we'll head out somewhere to get proper food. After having coffee, we came back to the same old square again, the one where all the flags are placed and where photos of the soldiers who lost their lives are displayed. Back in that same area, I was telling you a little while ago, about why the war started, why it's still going on, the language issue and all those things. And while walking, we were also discussing one more point, that most of the other countries that were once part of the USSR have already chosen their side. Many of those countries lie completely in Asia, especially the Central Asian ones like Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan and Tajikistan. They naturally stayed in Asia and have their own distinct culture. But the countries that lie fully in Europe, like Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, see themselves as European. They are now members of the European Union. Ukraine, however, was stuck in between, caught in the middle. So now we've come back to this square again, and it's already evening now. Sunset happens around 6 p.m. these days. The days are only going to get shorter as the cold increases. And once it gets dark, there isn't really much left to see or do outside anyway. From here, we will be taking the metro again. We're back inside the station now, the metro station. In fact, you can see we're about to go up those long escalators once again. There's something interesting I want to point out, but first, let's head inside and tap our cards to enter. Wow, this place is packed right now, and you really notice how huge it is. Like I was saying earlier about how deep these stations are, Kyiv's metro is famous for it. For a very long time, Arsenalna station here in Kyiv was known as the deepest metro station in the world. It goes more than 100 meters underground, around 105 meters, which is almost 350 feet. It's now considered the second deepest in the world after the Hongyankan metro station in China. But Arsenalna is still one of the deepest metro stations in the world, and it's right here in Ukraine. We couldn't head there right now since it's a bit farther away, so instead we're going toward another station. And like I mentioned earlier, many of these metro stations were designed to double as nuclear shelters, built deep underground to protect people in case of a nuclear attack. We've reached our platform now. Let's just take this one then. A train just came as soon as we arrived. It's evening time, so the crowd makes sense. People are heading back home from work.
Exits.
I've honestly never seen anyone more obsessed with Indian food than Navankar. No matter where we go, he somehow always manages to find an Indian restaurant. Even here, he spotted one nearby, and that's where we're heading for dinner. It's right around the corner.
Georgian Bakery. Himalaya, since 1997.
This place actually opened around the time we were born. Let's go in. Alright, we've made it to the restaurant, and interestingly enough, it is actually quite crowded here. By crowded, I mean most of the tables are occupied, even the ones at the back are full. and everyone here is Ukrainian. We didn't see a single Indian server or guest, which makes sense because there are basically no tourists around right now. We scanned the menu, placed our order, and here comes the food. We've got some chicken tikka with rotis and a vegetable dish. I have also ordered tea for after the meal. Welcome once again from a fresh new morning here in the heart of Kyiv. As you can see, my friend Nwankur has already left because he had some important work back home in India. Also, his Ukraine visa was expiring a day before mine, so I've got one extra day here. Today, I'll step out and explore some other place. I'm checking out of this place now. I'll spend one more day in Kyiv, and then I'll head to Lviv, which is another city in Ukraine towards the west. After spending one night in Lviv, I'll finally exit Ukraine. For now, I'm checking out of this room and heading down to the reception, and then I will look for another place in Kyiv where I can move and stay for the day. Alright guys, I've checked out of the hotel and I've booked an Airbnb right in the city center. It's actually near Independence Square, the same area we visited yesterday. And honestly, it's quite affordable here. In Kyiv, you can find big apartments, 2-bedroom or even 3-bedroom places for around 50 to 60 US dollars. Hotels, on the other hand, are much more expensive. Hotels are bigger businesses, they have staff salaries to pay, and after the war, their business must have taken a big hit. But with apartments, locals usually rent out their places on Airbnb, and those turn out to be much cheaper. So I thought Airbnb made more sense. You get more space, and you can even cook your own food if you want. For now, we're back again at the train station. We'll head downstairs and take the metro because I need to get back toward the city center. It's a super central location, you'll see in a bit. It's actually quite close, but the map was showing around 21 minutes by car because of traffic, while the metro takes just about 15 minutes. That's why the metro makes way more sense here. This train was way too crowded, there wasn't even space to stand properly. We'll take the next one. This is the central station Kreschatik. We just stepped out from here, and the moment you exit, you're right in the heart of the city. We were walking around these same streets yesterday, exploring the center. And today, I'm staying right here as well, since my Airbnb is in this exact area. There's a supermarket here, so let's grab some milk. No need to come down again and again. This is Korovik. Moloko means cow's milk, so we picked that up. Our place is just a short distance from here now, barely a 1 or 2 minute walk. That earlier building wasn't it, it's another one nearby. We were literally walking around these same streets yesterday. And yes, this is the one. See it there. The building next to a KFC. You can even see the balcony upstairs. First, 2 girls came asking for money for university. And now these people have shown up.
Turn around.
Yeah, okay.
And he has printed these photos for me.
What does it say? It's Ukrainian. But how much for this? I don't have Ukrainian.
I couldn't find the place, but these girls came back to help me. Earlier, they were asking for money for their university, and then they returned again to help me find the apartment because I just couldn't locate it.
This one? You sure? Yes, I think it's this one. Okay, thank you so much. Bye bye.
I think this is it. I've come inside now. There's an elderly lady here asking which number it is. I wrote it down and showed her. It's house number 39. I think she'll give me the key so I can go inside. Looks like there's an elevator here as well. Yeah, the lift is right ahead.
Спасибо. Thank you. Here? Okay. Не туда. Не туда. Не это Украина, не русский.
На улицу шли
Okay.
и направо в арочку.
Okay.
И там второй подъезд.
I can't understand a thing.
Пошли.
Okay, давай. Спасибо.
This elderly lady is saying something, but I honestly can't understand what she's saying. She seems worried about me and keeps trying to help.
Oh. Так.
А теперь как же вам объяснить? Пошли.
She's gestured for me to pick up my bag and come along.
И вот сюда.
Okay.
Как мне тебя пронести? Да.
She said, come from this side.
Yeah.
Man, this is such an old building. Where have I even ended up? I honestly can't make sense of anything right now. This is the lift. Even getting into this lift feels a bit scary for me. Okay, we have to go to the 8th floor. Oh man, this lift seriously feels ancient. First, I somehow managed to get inside the building after going to that babushka. Those girls helped me find the place, otherwise I wouldn't have figured it out at all. Then I finally got inside the apartment and this lady started speaking to me in Russian. I couldn't understand a single thing she was saying. Then there was a guy walking on the street. She stopped him and asked him to take me over there. It's number 39. Okay, this must be it. She had already given me the key. The check-in was honestly so confusing, man. And just look at this key. Even that feels old school. This is our room. From the inside, it's actually fine. From the outside, it looked like who knows what it would be like. But the best part is, this is a completely central area of the city of Kyiv. The check-in process was really confusing, and I honestly felt bad for that babushka who was getting quite stressed trying to help me. Where's first floor? Second, third. What's this lift, man? So this is what happened. When I stepped out of the metro and was a bit lost, two girls came up to me saying they were university students and needed help with fees. Not sure if it was true, but they spoke some English. I asked the college name, it seemed legit, so I gave them around $10. Right after that, two guys showed up. They clearly figured I was a tourist. One had a pigeon, the other a camera, and they said they were street photographers. They wanted to take my photo. I kept asking how much it would cost over and over, but they never gave me a straight answer and ignored me.
Hello.
And honestly, they could have been genuine too, because similar things have happened to me in other countries. In Moldova's city center, a guy took my photo for free and even printed it out on paper for me. Same thing happened in Romania when I was in Bucharest. A girl clicked my photo in the center, printed it and gave it to me for free. I still gave her some money out of courtesy, just as a small thank you and to show appreciation. But at least tell me clearly whether it's free or if you're gonna charge. These guys didn't say anything at all. They put a pigeon on me. I had a bottle of milk in my hand. They even took that and said, no, we'll take a nice photo. They clicked a bunch of photos and only after that they started asking me for money. And when I asked how much they wanted, they said, give whatever you like. Then they straight up said, give 20 euros to the photographer and 20 euros to the guy with the camera. I got into an argument with them. I told them, when I asked you earlier, you didn't say a word and now suddenly you're speaking English. Why should I pay this much? We argued for a while. In the end, I gave a few dollars to the guy who actually took the photos because he seemed decent. But the pigeon guy grabbed them and said, No, this is mine. Give him separately. I refused to give any money and walked away after arguing with them. Later, when I thought of drinking milk, I realized the milk bottle wasn't even with me anymore. The pigeon guy still had it, so I went back to get my milk bottle. They're standing right there near KFC. Look, it's right there on the table. Got it back. At least I didn't have to fight for milk too. Small relief, but yeah, it was a weird situation overall. Now finally, let's head back to the apartment. I'm sweating already. And you can see these flags in front of you, the same ones I showed you yesterday. This square is literally right below my apartment. So this is the apartment, man. It's huge, really massive. 4 people can easily sleep here comfortably. And for one night, I paid around $52. In local currency, that comes to roughly 2200 hryvnia. Just look at this place. There is a big living room, which I already showed you. Then we also have a separate kitchen, then a bathroom, a bedroom, and overall so much space. Booking through Airbnb, I got all of this in one apartment. Maybe it's a discounted rate or maybe it wasn't booked today. But even otherwise, you can easily find a slightly smaller apartment around this price range these days. And check out the view outside. It's the main street right below. This is the same street where Novankar and I were walking around yesterday. But honestly, it feels a bit strange now after he has left and I'm here alone. So yeah, this trip with Novankar has probably been one of our shortest trips ever. We were together for just 4 days. When you've experienced a place with someone, explored it together, and then suddenly that person leaves, but you're still there to experience the rest of it alone, it always feels a bit strange while traveling. Honestly, it even feels like I should have just left with him. But it's fine, I'll spend one more day here and make the most of it. After walking around the city for a bit, I'm back at the apartment. And this is exactly the difference I was talking about between apartments and hotels. In hotels, they have to provide heating all the time, electricity, staff salaries, maintenance, and so many other expenses. That's why hotels don't really get that cheap in Kyiv. In Odessa, you could find good hotel rooms for around $25 to $30. In Kyiv, similar hotel rooms are more like $50 to $60, but with apartments, you can get really good places for around $25 to $35. The downside is heating. Even though there are heaters installed in every room, you can see them here along with the piping. They won't work before November 1st. And that date still hasn't arrived yet. There are still around 10 days left before it begins. The reason is electricity shortages in the country. Recently, one of their power stations was reportedly attacked, and because of that, there are power cuts in residential areas. Heating hasn't been officially turned on yet by the government. Even though it's already getting quite cold, if you are staying in an apartment or Airbnb, be prepared for power cuts or no heating. Because these are residential complexes, hotels usually manage their own power, which is another reason they're more expensive. That's also why these apartments are cheaper, but you need to be mentally prepared for all of these things beforehand. Right now, I've already started feeling cold, and I am now thinking I'll just have to sit indoors fully layered up. And man, the moment I came inside, it started feeling a bit eerie. Just think about this young kid's life. He's saying that he knows he might die soon in this war, and that's exactly what his commander told him. This is their shelter where they hide,